Hello everyone, Researcher Roy here again, and I today am dressed as Ranger Roy because I went to the Ren Fair and I need another reason to wear this costume. Plus, I have a little ranger companion named Sombra with me. And the other reason I'm dressed up as a ranger is that I want to talk about my favorite ranger companion, the direwolf. You see, the direwolf has been something near and dear to my heart for a very long time, basically just because it's in a bunch of video games, and I play a lot of video games. I've always played a lot of video games. When I was like 8 years old, I remember encountering the direwolf for the first time in an RPG called Perfect World, which was basically just an RPG that was a ripoff of World of Warcraft that I played because I couldn't afford World of Warcraft. Most people probably know the direwolf from Game of Thrones, and more recently from all the headlines that we're getting from Colossal Biosciences that claims to have revived the extinct creature known as the direwolf. So I decided to look up what direwolves actually look like, and they definitely don't look like what you see in Game of Thrones, and they definitely don't look like whatever Colossal created. And according to the brea Tar Pits website, the direwolf isn't even within the same genus as the gray wolf or any of the wolves that we currently have nowadays. And if you go to the Direwolf Genome Project, they state that the direwolf has no evidence of gene flow between it and wolves, meaning that there's no evidence of interbreeding between wolves and direwolves. They are a completely different genus that cannot interbreed. This is kind of a little contrary to what's been in the news lately of the gray wolf being the last known descendant of the direwolf. Truth be told, I don't think anyone currently knows what the closest living relative of the direwolf is. Some people think it's the jackal, but it's whatever it was, it's very dead now, unfortunately, as well. So, if what Colossal created was not a direwolf, what did they actually do? Essentially, they made 20 edits to a gray wolf genome, and they changed 14 genes to be more similar to what the direwolf would have looked like. Now, this is interesting within itself, but then you go to Colossal's own biosample project, which I actually do really thank them for putting their direwolf data available to everyone. The link is in description. And they say that they find 80 genes that were divergent within the direwolf, meaning that to create a direwolf from a gray wolf, you would at least need 80 changes. There is probably so much more that goes into this, but they didn't even do the 80 changes that they had already detected. So this is not a direwolf for sure. And if it's not a direwolf, what is it? Essentially, they just cloned a wolf. I've seen some people say that they combined a domestic dog with a wolf, and it seems like they did that at first, but what they did was they denucleated, so that means they took out the genetic data from a egg cell, an ovum of a domestic dog, and then they got their edited gray wolf genome and put it inside of that cell. You give it a little shock, and you can start you could, I guess, activate that egg cell to create an organism. This is very similar to the method that was used to create Dolly the sheep all those years ago. Essentially, this means that Colossal created a gray wolf with 14 edits in its genes. Really not creating a dire wolf now. So one thing that could really make you think this is not a direwolf is that it looks like the direwolves from Game of Thrones. Like, they are white as can be. The direwolf was a plains creature in North America, so they were definitely not white. They had to be, probably blend in with their environment somehow. That's what most creatures kind of do. A lot of people have settled that the direwolf kind of looks brownish to reddish, kind of like a jackal. But truth be told, I tried to look for a little bit, and I couldn't find anything that said the dire wolf, the predicted color of the dire wolf. But so, I mean, I guess it could be white, but it's so unlikely it could be white. Imagine this in a forest like the one behind me. Yeah, that thing's gonna get seen so easily. It will starve to death out there. So why are these wolves white? Well, honestly, it's probably for PR and the fact that George R. R. Martin apparently sponsored this. So they look like the Game of Thrones dire wolves. And truth be told, I have no problem with Colossal creating these little cute dire wolves. I think they're cute. I like cute creatures. Isn't that right, Sombra? But I just have a problem with the way they are marketing it. You see, Colossal is saying that they can de-extinct species, and that is just simply so far from the truth. They cannot de-extinct a species. Once a species is gone, it's gone for good. And even if they could de-extinct a species, reintroducing a species from 10,000, 20,000 years ago into the ecosystem that we have now is just bound to have tons of problems. So I really don't think it's good for them to go around saying they can de-extinct a species. I think that's going to make lawmakers think that, maybe we can develop on land that has these endangered species because we could just bring them back. And that's not true at all. I've heard some people say that Colossal might fare better trying to bring back species that are currently still alive and endangered of being extinct or just went extinct that have very, very close living relatives. And honestly, that makes a lot more sense when you think about science. Because if we're trying to de extinct species, I think starting with something easy instead of something very long ago and very hard is probably the way to go usually. At the end of the day, I think this entire news cycle just leaves a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth, mainly because one, Colossal didn't do what they say they did, and then two, government science is getting defunded across the board. We're predicted to have 15% cuts to NIH. NSF has awarded 50% less grants this year, and the USDA had cut a $1 billion program already. And these are just the beginning. Government science is where all this private science starts. And usually, most of the time, the public is able to read about it. And that means people like you, people like me when I graduate, can just go and read all the science, which is fantastic. But when a company like Colossal comes along and really fibs about what they have done, I just really don't like it, especially when all these cuts are happening and more are likely to come. I really don't have a problem with those little cute dire wolves. They look adorable. If Colossal said they were making designer dogs for George R. R. Martin, I don't think I'd have a problem. After all, I do like cute animals.